Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday, the 7th day of November, 2025. I hope you're all safe and healthy today and that your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in health with first responders who every day are trying to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage and make deliveries, keep our places clean for our convenience. Those especially double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are helping those victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on perpetrators, profiteers, and perverts that create these industries. Finally, double blessings on homeless people. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America, and people in the millions, like islands like Jamaica and other places, the Philippines, got even worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Today I want to talk about there's three players that were not really looked upon as major pieces by all. In fact, these three players were not looked upon as guarantees to even be in the rotation, and yet here they are. Well, two of them, Deuce McBride and Josh Hart. Josh seemed to be hurt. You know, we know about the finger. We know about other ailments he's had. He's also 30 years old. I actually talked about him being a trade bait for next summer, but that's next summer. And, you know, we weren't sure where he was going to be. Well, he's been extremely important to the success that the New York Knicks have had this year. Right now, the Knicks are 5-3. They're 5-3, and not only are they 5-3, they're really the number one plus minus in terms of net rating in the East. They're fifth in the entire league right now in net rating. They're fourth in offensive rating, but they're rated 16th in defensive rating, but I'm not worried about that. Like I said, I'm more concerned with the net rating, which tells you where really you're going to place in your conference. And they're fifth in all of the NBA, but they're tops in the East. So they're doing very well right now. And they have a long, as we mentioned, as we know, there's a long homestand, which they're taking advantage of. But last week we were missing Deuce and MitchRob. MitchRob was on the protocol. Deuce was personal. And they lost those games. It had nothing to do with them being on the road. It was the absence of these two guys. They both came back last Friday, and the Knicks lost. But again, needs a game or two to get back in the flow. They were back in the flow, at least Deuce was, by Sunday. And, of course, the Knicks started winning. Then Deuce came back in the flow more. And then as we got to Minnesota, of course, here we know now, Mike Brown names him Defensive Player of the Game. And he talks about Deuce's effect on the pace of the game, which, of course, we saw with the speed he can bring the ball up with. You know, I am pretty sick of people keep saying he's not a point guard or whatever. I don't know what they want, really. I don't think they do. But what you have in Deuce McBride is a guy that plays both sides of the ball. And as Mike Brown said, he controls the pace. And in one particular play, he comes up the court. They tried to press in the back court when he had the ball. He used his speed to break the press and get a layup. And I think he's going to do a lot more of that. So with him and Josh, you got two guys now that can create a one-man fast break. You know, Josh off a rebound, Deuce just off a made basket if they try to press. So that's going to help the Knicks. Getting easy baskets like that, the more you can get, the better. And the overall game of the Knicks now of seeing the whole floor and throwing a home run pass and getting easy baskets, particularly to the road runner. So that's going to be big. But Deuce and MitchRob are extremely important to the championship aspirations of the Knicks. Now, I'm looking at Deuce's stats so far, and it's early. Again, it's 6 games, so you're not going to get a lot. But in Deuce's case, it does give you a nice picture. Deuce is the most minutes Deuce has played has been with Towns, Brunson, Bridges, and Ananobi. That is the lineup without Mitchell Robinson. And that's plus 11 in 25 minutes. The next group that he has been played the most with is 11 minutes, and it's with Towns, Shamet, Clarkson, and Ananobi. That's plus 33. Okay, that's the second unit that Brown likes to have out there. That's the second unit he likes to have out there. Deuce, Shamet, Clarkson, Towns, and Ananobi. Now, I think Shamet is already comfortable, but as Clarkson gets more comfortable and gets more, and especially for a guy like Clarkson is a classic rhythm player. If he gets his rhythm, there's no telling what he could do offensively. He can get in a flow and really change a game. It's making, in this game to game, whether he has his rhythm. But more often than not, as he gets acclimated at this age and this stage of his career, he knows what he needs to do to get in rhythm. And so he'll seek to do that, obviously, as much as he can. So these numbers, I feel like, are sustainable over the course of the season. With Mitchell Robinson, we really have a much smaller test, a much smaller sample size because of the limitations of him being in the lineup. But what we do get from him is that one example of the previous game. And that's what I feel like we need to look at. Like what we got from him when he single-handedly destroyed Cleveland a couple of seasons ago. Last year, was it last year? No, the year before, where he single-handedly took Joel Embiid's lunch and the Knicks beat Philly. That kind of thing is when you see what he's capable of. And then, of course, this last game, in only 16 minutes, he gets 9 offensive rebounds. The Knicks' possession was 19 possessions more than Minnesota. Those 2 points, along with his rim protection, his ability to move on defense and call out defenses, this is championship piece and championship basketball. So that's why the Knicks are really careful about how they use him in terms of number of minutes, which I thought they should be. They're being more careful than I even thought. I mean, he played 16 minutes. And then again, he played 13 minutes. So they're being very careful with him. And so you're using Towns more when Mitch is not there. And again, when you mix McBride, Shamet, Clarkson, and Anunoby with Towns, you get some good results. When you mix Towns with Bridges, Brunson, McBride, and Anunoby, you get some tremendous results. So, and of course, MitchRob's best time was with Towns on the floor so far, because we only got 18 minutes of that example. So, but these two guys are extremely important. MitchRob, because of what I just mentioned, what he can single-handedly do. We're not even talking about how much he scores. We're not even talking about how much offense and many people that are knuckleheads focus on that instead of focusing on the bottom line. Does he help you win? That's what some of y'all need to look at. Not, well, we need more offensive moves. He needs to develop a jump up. Forget all trying to coach him. Y'all not coaches. Let him do what he does. Help us win. And that's what Mitch said after last game. He said, I was out there being me. And that's all we need. Because he's a game changer without scoring a lot. Deuce is now, because what's going to happen with Deuce is, what happened under Tibbs is Deuce was at first, his rookie year, situational. His second year, situational. His third year, he was getting more time, but he got hurt a little bit. His fourth year, last year, he got 29 minutes a game. A lot of it was because people were hurt, but he really blossomed getting those steady minutes. And this year, he's going to get steady minutes. And he's a main player in the second unit. Him and Josh Hart are going to cause a lot of problems for the NBA, because now you have Josh Hart, who's Charlie Hustle, gets big rebounds, one-man fast break, right? And of course, him and Deuce play stellar defense. You add to that scoring, which is what you have with Shamet and Clarkson. And of course, Clarkson is, when he's next to Deuce, he plays better defense than he plays without him. And of course, Shamet plays both sides. And Shamet is very relaxed because he knows now he's got a guaranteed deal for the year. He's a Knick, and he's on a team. Both Shamet and Clarkson understand, being many years experienced both, they're on a team that could win a championship. That inspires every NBA player. You're on a team that could win a championship. So with Hart and Deuce, though, you got two guys like, okay, the lineup with Towns, McBride, Hart, Clarkson, and Bridges has only played 11 minutes together. It's only 11 minutes. So it's not like they got a lot of minutes together. But they're plus 25. Okay. And what I'm saying is there's a negative 13 with McBride, Towns, Clarkson, Bridges, and Anunoby, right? So that's a negative. But what the difference is, it's not necessarily the players, it's the flow. And Deuce is a guy that helps with the flow. He doesn't force things. He's a ball mover, okay, as well as a defender. And when his shot is dropping and he's got the flow under his belt, he helps the whole team, okay? And so with him and Hart, Hart is a guy that gets you extra possessions with his hustle. He gets you easy baskets with the one-man breaks he does. He's not a guy that, there's guys that do one-man breaks and usually will turn the ball over. That's what Juju used to do. Hart is a guy, though he does turn the ball over sometimes, does drive you crazy with some stupid passes. But he's not perfect. But more times than not, when he gets a defensive rebound and he starts a one-man break, he puts tremendous pressure on the defense. Tremendous pressure. And he's a great finisher. You can know he's coming. You could be bigger than him, and he can still score. Okay? He's got a talent at doing that. That is going to be, and is huge through the course of a season. So Deuce and Hart coming off the bench are going to be tremendous. And that's why we're very fortunate that now we have Landry Shamet, and he can easily fit in with the starting unit when MitchRob is not playing. And it's not going, you're not missing nothing. You're still smooth. The flow is smooth with Landry Shamet there. And now you have Hart, Deuce, Clarkson coming off your bench. Okay? That's tremendous. So right now, the Knicks have the formula. It's just now a matter of time. That's it. Time and health. That's it. The more time they get playing together and staying healthy. Now, with Mitchell Robinson, yes. The Knicks are very cautious. They're going to make sure he stays healthy. And he himself wants to stay healthy. He's determined to do that himself. It's not like he's being careless with himself. So they're going to be very careful, and I feel like they'll be successful unless there's some crazy fluke. They'll be successful in keeping him healthy, which is going to be great. Now, when you got them other cats, Shamet, Clarkson, and Hart and Deuce, that's your main bench right there. Yabusele, depending on if Mitch plays. Like I said, if Mitch is playing and starting, Yabu's minutes are going to be less than rotation minutes. If Mitch is not playing, Yabu will get rotation minutes, but he's not going to get no high rotation minutes. He'll get more than 10, but maybe like 14, 16. That'll be his limit right there. And that's fine because he's a bench piece. So that's cool. But the main bench is Hart, Deuce, Clarkson, and Shamet. And they're hellified. And again, I'm looking at the stats. When they're mixed with an Anunoby or a Towns or a Mikal Bridges or any combination of that, they're dynamite. Okay? And the Knicks are going to have that. And I'm looking at around the NBA. Most benches on losing teams are normally negative. It's like that across the league. When a team is struggling, sometimes they starting five is rolling, but their bench is weak. The Knicks got one of the stronger benches in the league when these guys are playing. Okay, so and the depth is, as we know, the depth is tremendous. You still got your young boys. You still got your Hooportis, your Jemisons, your Diawaras, your Koliks. You still got them, but you can now, and this is what they're doing, they're developing them. See, the other day they put Kolik in the G League. I feel like it's not to demote him. It was just to keep him sharp. You can't stay sharp sitting on the bench, and even if you practice, if you throw up 500 jump shots a day, it's not like playing in the game. In the league especially. It might work in high school, but not in the league. So you need to have game minutes, and that's what the G League is for. So to keep Kolek sharp, you give him game minutes. Right now, there's still knuckleheads out here sounding an alarm about a so-called need for a backup point guard. There is no need for a backup point guard unless somebody gets hurt, and that's possible. Particularly the way Brunson plays. He's a very physical player, Jalen Brunson is. And most time, that physicality works in his favor, okay, both sides of the ball. But, of course, we have seen he takes a lot of punishment. Sometimes his ankle gets twisted. The other day, we saw an ankle get twisted. We saw his hamstring get a little pressed out because he's physical. So that could happen. That's where you need a Kolek. Okay, that's why you need a Kolek there. But for right now, if Jalen Brunson's healthy, there's no need for talking about a backup point guard. Because you got, like I said, if you actually watch the game, this is where I get a little frustrated with this. People start talking theory instead of watching the freaking game. So you're talking about Deuce is not a point guard when you're watching him go full court and get a layup from the point guard position. Or you watch him set up the offense from the point guard position. You watch him do it and you say the Knicks need a point guard. It makes no sense to me, okay? Or you see different guys, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, Shamet, and Clarkson, as well as Hart, all take turns starting the offense. Then what are you talking about? If they're doing that, what are you talking about? What are we talking about when we talk about we need a backup point guard? When you got all of these guys capable of starting the offense, and they all, except Clarkson, and he's now coming along, but they all play a high-level defense and stop the point of attack on defense. They're good at that, okay? So when you have all that, what are you talking about? So, like I said, if Brunson hurts himself and has to miss a game, and that's going to happen, sprained ankles, sore ribs, whatever, because, he takes a lot of charges, could be sore hamstring. He's not an athletic dude, but he's very physical, and so he could miss a couple of games, okay? So then you're going to need a Kolek, not starting, but you will need some backup minutes for your Deuces, and your Shamets, and your Harts, and all that. You will need some backup minutes there, and that's where you have a Kolek. So you want to keep him sharp, because you may have to call upon him suddenly, okay? And he needs to be ready to play. To me, the G League is perfect for that because he's going to rock the G League. I expect Kolek to dominate the G League at this stage because he's starting to hold his own on the big stage. So when you're ready to do that, you could dominate the G League. Ain't nothing for you no more. And I think Kolek will do that. So that's why you see him going to the G League. They got to keep him sharp. In the meantime, you got the squad. There's no need to be talking about getting a backup point guard. There's no need to be talking about looking at the waiver wire. It is absolutely no need, especially when you're looking at the minutes, how they're distributed. This is very important. You must consider the distribution of the minutes. Minutes need to be distributed. So your four guys, Deuce, Hart, Clarkson, and Shamet, they need to get 10 minutes and more a game. That's your rotation. Where are you going to fit another guy that's a guard? I don't know. You wouldn't. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. You got to consider the minutes, which again, knuckleheads don't do. They just like throwing names out there. This is NBA 2K, and it's not. This is the real deal, Holyfield. So, we don't need no damn backup point guard. Right now, we just need everybody to stay healthy. And we need to keep Kolek sharp. In case somebody does get hurt, we're gonna need him to step in there at the back end of the rotation to make sure we got sufficient representation there. And I'm confident in the boy. Like I said, he done converted me because he worked his behind off and he's earned his spot. Okay, I feel like he was on the bubble, especially after that terrible summer league he had. But he had earned his spot. He now is fighting on defense, fighting through screens. And he's starting to even show a little bit of jumper, a little bit of hitting that jumper. Plus, we already know he could pass the rock, setting up the offense. So that's good. So I like him You got to keep him sharp just for emergencies. But there's nothing the Knicks need right now. Somebody complained the other day, I wish they had more height. Will y'all stop looking for perfection? Y'all not perfect. Look in the mirror. The Knicks, nobody wins a championship being perfect. Oklahoma's not perfect. Oklahoma City's not perfect. They're great, but they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody got a weakness. Okay? Everybody got a weakness. Knicks got them too. Key thing is, can you overcome your weaknesses and still win? Can you overcome challenges? Can you overcome adversity? And so far, early season with 3 losses, and y'all was tripping about Karl-Anthony Towns, and here they come winning 3 in a row again. See, they can overcome adversity, because adversity is really from within the team in terms of injuries and from the media and fan base in New York. They can overcome that. That's what you want to know. Can they overcome adversity? Yes, they got weaknesses. You're not going to have a perfect team. They're not going to trade for you to get your all-star NBA 2K lineup. But they got enough to win this thing. We should rejoice in that. I know I am. After 50 years, I'm glad to see it. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Be safe out here. Enjoy your Friday. It's Friday. Have a good time, but be safe. Sure.